Well, welcome back to Rainbow Flickers Over the Crimson Screen to our weekly series where we review From. And this episode is called David.
It was called This Way Gone, and it was away. It went.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in this episode.
There was a lot going on, but at the same time, there was not much going on. If that makes sense, we actually seen much more of a episode that we set up things for later on, and less of an action-packed episode in some ways.
Before we really get into this, I do want to just tell all our subscribers that we re-recorded this a few times because we just couldn't stop swearing. So, so
Son
here
of
we
the
are.
biscuits. Yes, indeed. So the episode is summary can be as Boyd's condition grows more alarming, Sarah's return to town put him into a difficult position, and Jim shared a troubling new theory about the town.
Yeah.
So we are getting much more question than answer in some ways, I believe. But at the same time, we're having a lot of chess pieces moving about.
Yeah, this episode there was a lot of setup. It was basically an episode where they were setting up more things to come.
Indeed, and the chess pieces was actually pretty prominent in that episode, which also actually is what the episode was. We got the chessboard of the town, and they are moving people around and moving things together to actually a grand scheme that we don't know yet.
And we also got a little bit more, I guess not a full backstory, but we learned a little bit more about Kenny in this episode.
Yes, because we knew that Kenny's dad in season one was ill, but we didn't know why he
Hmm.
was in hospital, and we actually discovered why he was in hospital, and it was really sad.
Yeah, it really was. But we also learned the role Sarah played in this. But I guess us as viewers already knew that, right?
Yes, we actually saw what Sarah did, which was opening the door at the hospital to let the things in. So we
Oh,
knew she's
Sarah.
done that. Yes, Sarah. Well, we can blame the worms.
The worms. Speaking of the worms, are those what were in Sarah? Like, is that why she was trying to basically, I guess, cut them out of her arms?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know, but the image I remember of her looking at her arm, and actually there was a message saying to kill the boy. And that straightly remind me of the worm in Boyd's arm. So I believe that
Hmm.
might be the same. So is it a way for whatever that is to communicate with the people around? I think that might be it.
Yeah, and also in this episode, we got a little bit more of Jade, which Jade really annoyed me last season, but this season he's kind of the comedic relief, if you will.
It is indeed. It cracking me up. This time it really cracked me up. And actually, out of the new characters that came in season, or the new people, because we actually have to see that Jade and that family were the two people that really arrived on season one. Is actually the character that I actually enjoy the most.
Yeah, even though at first you told me you thought he was an a hole, and you can't wait for
It
him to
was, it
be
still is, but
unalived, but
it still is, but it's funny. It's a funny a-hole. That's all I can say. It's a funny one. And the entire conversation with the bus driver had me cracking up. It was just really, really, really funny.
yeah, it had the bus driver cracking up too, and I think her name is Bacta, right?
Back
And
to
this
indeed.
was this was like the first time that we really seen her like solo or like sitting to herself thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we learned something interesting: is that she had just graduated college. She
Mm-hmm.
had just paid off her student loans, which
Indeed.
is a feat in its own, and that's she wasn't even supposed to be on the bus, but she decided, oh, what's another few more weeks of driving a bus.
Mm-hmm.
And we also learned that Jay just sold his company before he ended up here. So are these clues of what might be happening and why everyone is here? Hmm.
Mm-hmm. And remember that Jim and Jim family were traveling the last time before getting divorced. So they seem
This
that
is true.
everything seems to be at the time when there's a life-changing event for these characters. So is it something that's going to be come back and actually been explained a bit more? It would be nice to see. We've got three people so far that actually had a life-changing event happening in their life and they got stuck in that place. Is it more?
Yeah. Yeah, this place, which where is this place? Because as we were talking while we were watching the episode, the house that they were in now seems to kind of have like 60s, 70s decor. So what is up with that?
All the time, as I said to you, there's a 1950s, 60s actually influence everywhere in the show, from the costume to the music to the now the set design. And thinking back, none of the people there actually are resident of the town. They seem to actually have been arriving in that town. So is
Yeah,
that
so
town actually existing or not? And that come back to what Jim said to his wife about the fact he believed that maybe they are being tested. This is a game for someone that's testing them.
yeah, and he also mentions that Christy was on the bus and that she was not on the bus by accident.
Hmm. Indeed. So you got all these things happening, and we got the chess pieces again, the chessboard, the chess pieces. So for me, if we look at this imagery, we can actually see the town as actually the chessboard, and all the people are the chess pieces and being put into places. We're actually having revelation of things. We're having friendship being destroyed. We've got the guy that I can't stand, who rather the boss, who actually being the bad guy. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to say that this is one of the scenes that really stood out for me this episode when she takes him to the bus and she's just like, "Here you go. You want to be
Hmm.
a bleep? Well, you can be one out here."
Hmm. Indeed. I love that character. I love she's such a great character, and she's great leader. She's a no nonsense woman. And we got scared in the last episode, the one before, when she seemed to have lost herself. She was completely lost. She lost her will to lead the other people. And then she's getting it back now by using an axe to a wall.
Such a
That
great
was
scene.
so good. That was such a great scene indeed.
And
So,
so this guy that I can't remember his name, but he's the
some
hard
guy.
A. Yeah. Do you think maybe he could be being set up to be like a leader of another faction within the
Mm,
town?
no, I don't have a feeling like. Okay, this is my theory. We need Sarah was actually in contact with these things, and they were kind of controlling her, but she's not useful anymore because everyone know what she's done. So these people need to find someone else, and I think this is a perfect person to be kind of a double agent. That's the way I'm looking at it, and the fact they're setting up in a bus on his own might be a good way for the things to kind of woo me, whoa, wooing him in. I can't even
Yeah.
pronounce this word, but
Yeah,
never mind.
wooing him in, yeah.
Wooing him, indeed. So I believe this. I think this is set up maybe not for this season, but I believe for season three. Oh, please, let it be a season three. To be kind of a bad guy. That's why I'm looking at it, because he's completely against the group and he's actually been causing trouble for the entire the entire episode lately. So
Yeah, he was like making his own rules in the house. He's just like, "Hey, this is my stuff. You don't touch my stuff, okay?"
no, indeed. So we do have actually a lot of things happening. So let's recapitulate. What did we learn this episode? So we learned that they're all coming after a life-changing event. So everyone must actually have something happen to them before arriving in the town. That's our theory. We also have something else. What is it? Yes, we had the discussions. Sarah's being back is actually kind of a big thing because Sarah's pretty much going to changing the pieces across the board by telling the truth to Kenny about the death of his dad, something that Boyd was hiding since season one.
Yeah, I almost completely forgot that she had basically unalived her brother.
Yeah, it was actually this. That was the
and
sequence. Oof, I
and
remember
tried
that.
to and tried to kill Ethan. So
Mhm.
yeah. Mm. Oh,
Yes.
Sarah.
Hmm. Ah, poor deluded woman. Mm. But it was a very interesting thing because we actually have Kenny who pretty much decide to stop being a deputy and reject Boyd. Boyd that is seen as a kind of his father, now that his father is dead in some ways.
Yeah.
So it was pretty sad story, and I don't know what's gonna happen, but Boyd seems to be more and more isolated, it seems.
Yeah, and especially if Kenny actually tells the entire town that what he did.
Oh, that would happen because he do want her in a box. And we know what
Yeah.
happened last season in the box, and we don't want to see the box again. I don't want to see the box again. That was terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting to note here that Sarah doesn't seem to be fighting going in the box. She's just like, it is what it is. You know?
She want to be gone. She doesn't want that. She doesn't want
Hmm.
this anymore. And this come back to what I said to you about they need to set up another double agent because Sarah is pretty much useless as it stands now.
Yeah, and I we're also not talking about another scene that stuck with me was basically we were on Ghost Whisper for a second. Boyd was talking to the preacher, and yeah, the preacher had a lot to say.
But I will be honest with you, I don't believe this is a vision. I believe this is just an internal monologue.
Could be, but we've already established that they do see things, so
Yeah, but they don't see that people, do they?
they do see dead people. She saw her dead baby.
Yeah, but I don't know. I felt like it was more like of a monologue thing, like a internal monologue between Boyd and actually himself about
Mm.
the nature of actually telling the truth or lying and what need to be done to actually keep the town safe.
Oh wow, someone's just so staunch in realism for a show where things are ripping people apart at night.
It is, but this is one actually for me. It felt more like an internal monologue.
Okay.
It didn't feel like because the reason why I'm saying this is because the preacher died, but he knew quite a lot of things that happened inside actually the town after his death.
Hmm.
And for me, this is but he mentioned stuff that only Boyd knew and not actually other people. Well, this is actually my theory. I believe it's internal monologue. I might be wrong, but I will only speak in the presence of my lawyer. Any further? There we go. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't know where the this other, as I call them, Diane Wood. We still don't know what this is about. They're just showing and appearing to just her. Why is it just her that they're appearing to? So that's another
Hmm.
question that we would like the answer to.
Hmm. And this boy with white clothing,
Who
who
looks
says
similar to Ethan, which is also kind of creepy.
he does, but he's always there, and he's actually the only one, the only vision that has been the same vision has been seen by several people, which is
This is
pretty
true.
interesting, which is a very interesting to me. And yeah, so we don't know much. We just know that actually, like, oh yes, we knew that if the stone are on the floor, they don't work anymore, the talisman. So that's another thing they keep adding to us. So we know now that they need to be in enclosed spaces. They can't be on the floor, and they can't be worn as a talisman. It has to be in a physical space. in order to
Yeah,
work.
and also in the house, which I also realized was the first time I saw a Dreamweaver. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a Dreamweaver that was in the first episode.
Hmm.
Uh, and this bigger Dreamweaver appears in the house this time. It's made out of vine, basically. It
Hmm.
was they draped in vine. I did find that very interesting.
Mm. There's a lot of things, and this is a problem. Or it's not a problem. I love it personally, but the show got a huge amount of small details, small thing that they're adding that doesn't mean nothing most of the time, but they will actually add a bit of a complexity to a scene. Like the chessboard, for example, like I said earlier on, the chessboard for me that was pretty obvious because we keep saying chessboard from the first scene when actually they bring the flashback when they bring the dad into the hospital. What did they have with them? A chess piece. Then we actually see chess piece again, which actually in the house of the preacher, and we see it when they were talking with the preacher as well, with basically a pawn that had blood on it also.
Okay.
So could be a symbolism as well there. We don't know yet, but I have a
And
feeling
we also keep seeing crows, so that's also
also.
fun.
Keep saying crows. There's so many symbolism in that show, and there are 8 episodes, I think. Isn't it
Yeah,
8 episodes? Or for the season two, and I'm
and
checking it
I
to
just
be
want
sure.
I also want to point out, crows, even though a lot of people think that it's an omen for, death, it's usually actually a symbolism for being rebirthed,
Hmm.
rebuilding. And I just find it
Indeed.
interesting that they're being there a lot and all of these people are somehow there before a big life changing event. So that's also interesting to know. We'll just add down
Mm.
there.
And there's another thing. That old woman, we keep seeing her in little scenes that seems to be nothing really important, but we keep seeing her. And I just wonder what is with her. Because
Yeah.
obviously she's important because she seems to come up all the time for some reason.
And I also just love how nonchalant she is about everything. Like,
Hmm.
say lovey.
Exactly. We can see that again. Yeah. Oh, see that again. Uh, but yeah, she seems important for some reason, but I don't know why. I don't know why she would be important because she was just going to the races.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to the races, I guess, which means maybe she's. To me, that just screams someone who's retired and wants to spend their money. But
Hmm. No, I know. And there was a last thing I was thinking about is last season the the son of Boyd seemed to be a very important character. Doesn't seem like an important character in season two.
well, I mean, is that not him and his girlfriend in the intro? I feel like
In the
that was
painting,
him.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same in the
So.
painting, but we saw the painting season one as well.
Hmm.
We saw the same one. So I don't know. I feel like it seemed to be before. It seemed to be completely about him, but there's actually nothing. He's actually he's gonna get married. We also know that he's gonna get married at the end of the season, I guess, because why not?
Yeah, his fiance also seems to be struggling a little bit more and more with being there. So that's also something interesting
Mm-hmm.
that to note is that will she be end up being one of the ones that lets them in? I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's true that the others were actually absent in in that season, so in that episode at least.
Hmm.
I think we saw them quite a lot in the first three episodes. So maybe there's a reason now, but I feel they are setting up something pretty dramatic that will be changing the course of the story, especially the fact that Boyd is now pretty much isolated from everyone because he wants Sarah alive. Kenny wants her in a box. Kenny is actually refusing to be a deputy anymore, and Kenny was actually the kind of
He was
what a
kind of the
good guy.
mediator.
He was a
He was,
good guy,
and
the
he was
good
also
guy.
kind of the mediator too, where he was very good at regulating, I guess, conversations
Mm.
with people.
And they actually want something, and is that the thirst for revenge would actually create a lot of tension inside actually the town because let's be clear, nobody knows Sarah's back.
Oh, but they will.
Apparently, the next episode they will apparently. So, but yeah, so it was overall it was actually a pretty cool episode. It was much calmer than usual, but really good setup for some very interesting scene in the future, I guess. Looking forward for episode 5.
Yeah, so basically, don't go into this episode thinking you're going to get people being slaughtered left and right. Not that type of episode, but
They're
it's
getting into in
definitely
season 3, season 2.
it's definitely one that will make you think.
Mm, indeed, and look at the chess pieces. I swear there is something with the chess pieces. We need to, oh, maybe someone in the comment can tell us, who do you think that pawn was? Because the pawn with the blood must be important because we see it quite prominently in the image. So who do you think it is? Personally, I think it might be Kenny, but it could be someone else.
You don't think it's Boyd?
No.
Okay. Well, we look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments.
Indeed. So I guess that's a wrap for tonight's episode, and we shall see you next week.
Mm. Bye.